Welcome to a review of the United States Postal Service with respect to current public opinion. To provide a quick overview, the United States Postal Service predates the Constitution. It was established in 1775 by the Second Continental Congress, with Benjamin Franklin serving as its first Postmaster General. Over the past 200 years, the services by the USPS have become an integral part of daily living as well as part of the nation's economic system. As a pay-for-service agency, its current operating budget is $68.8 billion in order to deliver mail to 47% of the world's mail volume. It is the second largest employer, second only to Walmart, with nearly 500,000 career employees, and it's also got the largest national fleet. It's part of the mailing industry, which supports more than 7.5 million jobs and generates more than $1.4 trillion in revenue. A mandated pre-retirement payment act in 2006 has pushed the agency into insolvency. And there have been recent arguments regarding the scope and future of the existence of the United States Postal Service on the House committee floor frequently ever since 2010. Even in light of the national spotlight on the financial crisis of the USPS, several articles and opinion polls indicate that the American public is not ready to disband the USPS. In fact, some would argue that it should be expanded in order to take advantage of increased economic opportunities and expanded service to the public and other governmental agencies. An article published by CNN argues that the USPS deficit was artificially created by the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act in 2006 that mandated the Postal Service to prepay future retirement costs. The article supports the idea of an increase in economic opportunities because of the advent of e-commerce relies on the mail industry. Therefore, the increase in e-commerce necessitates an expansion of the Postal Service. In fact, competitors such as FedEx and UPS rely on the infrastructure of the USPS because the competitors will only go where it's profitable. Additionally, without the USPS, the American public would lose future jobs and a pathway to middle class. A survey conducted by the Huffington Post illustrated that the public has an affinity for the USPS. The survey provided background of the USPS's financial crisis and the tools to come up with recommendations. The participants in the survey came up with a bipartisan solution plan that included transforming USPS operations into a business model. Recent opinion polls by survey groups such as Gallup and the Pew Research Center points to a favorable opinion by the public, including an 84% favorable rating. A theory application for the expansion of the U.S. Postal Service can be supported by Morton Godzins with his idea of the marble cake. He explains that a close look will show that virtually all governments are involved in virtually all functions, or that all governments are independent. Local governments, with respect to the USPS, send things like jury summons, vehicle registration renewals, and other important documents by mail. And we see through this research that there's an interdependence that is appreciated by the public. Because of its financial crisis, service delivery challenges, and increasing competition, the USPS may have lost its utility. There are arguments against expansion or even the existence of the USPS because of this. A recent Newsweek article says that the USPS is in an existential crisis. It no longer meets the requirements of its basic function, which is the obligation to provide postal services to bind the nation together through the personal, educational, literary, and business correspondence of the people according to the act that created its modern structure in 1970. Now, with the advent of e-communication and other electronic resources, the Postal Service is losing its relevance. It also asserts that no government operation that goes bankrupt is likely to be bailed out by a public that doesn't see its relevance. Another indicator of its declining relevance is that mail volume has been in decline since 2006. By 2014, the Postal Service lost 25% of its volume. Consumer Affairs reviews rate USPS's overall satisfaction with just 1 star out of more than 6,000 reviews. And a petition placed on change.org received enough signatures for it to be issued to Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon.com, urging him to allow consumers to choose different delivery methods due to dissatisfaction with current delivery standards. Alice Rivlin would say that the USPS may have been using the wrong model. In her article, Systematic Thinking for Social Action, she illustrates models for improving effectiveness for services which are produced. Specifically, Rivlin was talking about social services, but the theory can be applied here as well. In this instance, she makes a case for utilizing a market model in order to improve some services. A market model would have positioned the USPS to compete well by private business against private business who can do it for less and be more efficient. To conclude, this analysis leads me to the realization that the United States Postal Service is too big to fail. What the USPS should do is reinvent itself. Because it would cause economic devastation as well as a catastrophic impact to other agencies, after analyzing both positions, I would recommend that the USPS take corrective action to improve customer service and become more competitive. Anthony Downs talks about the life cycle of agencies, or bureaus, in his article, The Life Cycle of Bureaus. In it, he discusses what he called the death of bureaus, indicating that even when an agency has appeared to outlive its usefulness, the size and age of that agency is an insulator against demise. An agency this established and entangled in the daily lives of the American public as an American institution should only be helped to overcome its challenges.